is still the proprietary property of Otimofo. So how are they able to transfer it when we know that they had a dispute with Otimofo? How are they able to transfer it now to Smartmatics?
Okay.
Let me respond to my colleague.
Yes.
Because their arguments mirror their style of politics. The style of politics of Azimio in this sense.
Are we politicians?
Their style is to take people, they tend to take us backwards a bit. They pull us back, because if you look at the sectors now, all the commercial, economic, business sectors, there has been a major migration from manual to electronic systems. If you move into the banking industry, you only present your ID number. They only just compare your ID with the details that is in their system. They will make every payment using that system. They even encourage you to go online and do your transactions so that you don't have to walk into the bank. You look at Safaricom and the movement of money. You don't need to be physically somewhere for that transaction to happen. When I'm in Dubai, when I'm in any other place, I can still transact on my bank. I can transact on M-Pesa. I can pay my bills in the Republic of Kenya when I'm outside this geographical location. So for a political organization or a political coalition to insist on the use of the manual, where somebody has to take a ruler and cancel your name, you must ask yourself, what is driving their interest in pushing for that manual register?
Tell us,
there must be a way that they are using it in such a way that they can propel their numbers in that polling center.
I could say the same about them. I could say the same about them insisting on electronic.
I did not. Okay. I'll tell you something about the Kim's kit. Immediately you vote and you identified through that Kim's kit. Did you know you cannot vote twice? Meaning, the story of ghost voters, one voter having 5 votes and casting 5 votes or 10 votes, would not happen with the electronic identification of voters. Because what the Kim's kit will do, when you walk in a second time, it locks you out. It beeps a warning. Everybody will be there to hear that that person had been identified before. Now, what it also does, and I hope you know the regulation now only allows a polling station to have up to 700 voters. You cannot go beyond the 700 voters. That means if 700 people, which is most unlikely, have appeared in a polling center, then that Kim's kit cannot now be used for 701. So, for anyone to reject this kind of a system on a 100% basis, they must explain themselves very clearly why you would feel uncomfortable that a digital footprint is unwanted by a coalition.
But I don't think they're resisting. They're just saying, do this, but please have the other one.
You know the question they are not responding to, Ken? They are not responding to the fact that Section 44A does not provide for a manual physical register. It does not provide for a physical register. It provides for complementary.
Regulation 69. Why didn't you read them together with the Regulation 69?
Together with the Section 44?
Yes.
Did you know the same rules do provide for IEBC to migrate to electronic, by the way? Do you know if they did it electronically, there would be no fault? That is already provided under law? Yes. So that what you have printed, what is in the Kim's kit, are we getting this point clear?
Yes.
The data that is in the Kim's kit, even if you print it here, it remains the same. If it is 600 voters in a polling center, in a polling station, that's it.
You can add.
You can add that. And if we had other complementary systems which would tell us how many people have walked into that station, then that would be okay.
Let me ask you, Veronica, before I ask him that specific question, why do you think, what is their motivation?
Their motivation?
Yes, what is their motivation?
Oh, let me tell you something. It's a bigger scheme than you expect.
Tell me about it.
You must ask yourself, who was migrating voters from Nyeri to Eldas? What was the purpose of that migration? Because that was a scheme. Those were just a few beads before they complete to make a full necklace of what they were looking for. Whoever was doing that migration of voters, the purpose was this. If a name called Jane Jerry is in Eldas, that means that voter has a right to vote in Eldas. Now, if you have a system that has conspired from the door right up to the end, they can't be identified on the Kimskate, and they're identified on the physical register, it means the ghost Jane Jerry, who never belonged to a station in Eldas, is able to vote using the manual system. But if they're using the Kimskate, Jane Jerry, who is non-existent in Eldas, will never vote.
Okay, that is okay. I'm coming to you, Wakili. Now that you've explained that, your candidate, Deputy President William Ruto, was the first to raise his alarm.
Yes.
Long before the IBC made a comment over it.
Yes.
And this was a digital register. Yes. How did your candidate know that voters have been moved and the IBC, KPMG had not made a report? The IBC had not made a report, but your candidate knew about 1.1 million voters.
Are you very sure? Are you very sure about that?
I sat here with two commissioners a week ago and they said that.
Did you know that you were able to check yourself as a voter where you are registered, whether you are existent or not, and that you can actually walk into IBC and verify? The first people to raise that alarm were the voters themselves. You remember the Register of Political Parties digitized their system, and I was going to say actually, the government has been progressively digitizing its register. You'll find in Land's office the digitization. You find every ministry, the passport today, you can't apply for it without using the e-citizen, the online system. Everything has been going online. In fact, you should be asking this question: why is there a hesitation by some of the political parties to accept digitization, to accept electronic, and to accept that we must migrate to the next level? Because if I want to check the balance in my account today, I will just check it from my phone.
I agree with you.
If I want to check my title, whether it's still in my name, I can Google that online.
Veronica, I agree with you. This is a question. I'm coming to you, Wakili. I am not ignoring you.
I think it's because
the other question is, it's fine. The voters raised it.
Yes.
The DP was perhaps the second or the third in line to raise it. Who collated and knew it's 1.1?
Let me explain something.
Individual voters did.
We did massive registration of members within our political party. In the course of doing that massive registration, if a member needed to check where they are registered, whether they are in this political party or that political party, they could actually Google with the Register of Political Parties and confirm, I'm in this location, my names are correct, my ID number is correct. So we had other means of knowing that somebody is not appearing in the polling station where they're supposed to be appearing at.
Okay, let me give you an opportunity now.
I think it's good at least that I should get a word in. You know, when a lady is speaking, you don't interrupt.
Thank you.
But you know, my sister Veronica, who is a wonderful person, has proved that really you are the company that you keep. Because even listening to Veronica, you know, some of the things she's saying, honestly, I mean, to be just very candid, it is not true, Veronica, that the law on the issue of the electronic register could be read any other way. It is not true. And I know she's a lawyer of great repute. And I think if we could just agree on what the law says, and then we agree on why we want to circumvent the law. You know, because we can at least agree on what the law says, because it is in black and white. And you know, she has raised an issue that I think is important for us to address. Why do some people insist on this and why do others insist on the other? And it is simple. The manual register, is a very transparent mechanism. Why do I say so? You see, IBC will have 6 clerks in one area the size of this studio. It will have 2 election officials presiding and deputy presiding. How does Veronica and her team tell us that with 8 electoral officials manning a polling station the size of this studio, someone can bring mischief? Does IBC want to tell us that they are employing crooks as of electoral officials? Because that is the suggestion they are making. Because if they cannot trust a document that has 700 names with 8 of their officials, then there's something very wrong with the people IBC is employing. there's something very wrong with the people IBC is employing. IBC needs to trust the election officials that they're employing, but then they also need to employ them in the right way. We have our concerns, by the way, which we don't want to raise here. We will do a formal complaint to the commission because of the composition of the the returning officers and so on.
You mentioned that. I did. It's a lengthy discussion. But it is a discussion that has to do with the unity of this country, the harmony of this country. It has to do with just appreciating that this is a diverse country, and that this country cannot have one community or two communities or three communities dominating the rest. Because we are a diverse nation. I want to ask you what I asked her. She says straight, what is the mischief behind using this register that Azimio really wants to see on the table on the 9th? Why do you think they're insisting that let's adopt technology? Why do you think they want technology as opposed to this? What do you think is in their mind?
It's very simple, Ken.
Yes.
We had people at the top level of Kenya Kwanza in no less than the launch of the presidential journey for Dr. William Samoei Ruto. We had people in his launch say that they are the brains for stealing elections in this country. We had that. It was televised across the country.
I don't think that's a fair comment.
No, they say that. This guy, Moses Kuria.
Or is he talking about
Moses Kuria
Sabina
that,
Chege?
No,
so is he talking about
I want to answer the question.
Sabina Chege?
I want to answer the question.
You know?
Yeah. I want to answer the question.
Allow me to answer the question.
Allow me to answer the question.
Okay, we'll come to Veronica.
She's on record as having
she doesn't want me to say it because she knows that what I'm about to say.
Veronica, you'll have your opportunity to counter that.
What I'm about to say, Veronica knows that it will nullify a lot of the things she has said. But, they have said that they're experts in stealing elections. And we believe they are because they have done it in the past. And so we have never stolen any election. As Azimio, we don't even know how elections are stolen. We only know that we want Kenyans to vote and for the will of the Kenyan people to be upheld.
I think to be fair, you should never allow that to go on.
Because
those are very heavy allegations.
Yeah, because you're here to
those are very heavy allegations, and if you allege that somebody has stolen an election, you must then substantiate with facts, and it's not sufficient. It's not sufficient, especially for
can I substantiate with facts?
This level,
you have the facts. I have the facts. I have the facts.
It is not allowed. It is not even available for my colleague to even try to attempt to throw a smirk on people's faces with allegations that are not substantiated without any evidence. Because if you allege you have any facts, you require full support of those facts.
I do.
And since we are not before a court of law, what I would ask my colleague to do is to withdraw those comments, because you cannot use your airtime to allow these kind of allegations to go unchecked. That's one.
Okay.
Number two.
Public opinion. They will know he's bluffing.
He cannot do that.
She doesn't want me to give her the facts.
He can't do that. It's not available.
If she doesn't want me to give the facts.
No, but it's not available for him.
Let me ask
That's one. Because number one, even if you were to cite somebody like Moses Kuria, has Moses Kuria been chair of an IBC commission? Has he been a presiding officer? Has he been a returning officer? Was he counting? Was he filling out forms? That is why you cannot go that direction. That route is not available. It is not available. Because the minute you allege he has stolen, you have actually talked about IBC. You have gone beyond Moses Kuria. So that is not available. And I would hope he will respectively withdraw those remarks. That's one. Number two, full democratization of electoral process. Why are they hesitant? Why do you want us to remain where we began in 1963? Is there a reason why we should hang on to the old process? And what must have informed the introduction of the the technologies of technology.
But you see, as you continue, I'll let you continue.
And number 3,
no, I'll let you continue. You have to,
I have a very critical burning question.
You understand
ODM,
that the ballot is still physical.
It's a hybrid
Veronica
system.
is the one asking questions.
Let me ask you. It's a hybrid system.
Yes, so you can't completely go digital.
I'm asking hypothetically so that it can give you
But
an
we cut
opportunity
him
to
off
think
before
more
he
deeper.
finishes. We cut him off.
To think more deeper.
Yes.
The one thing he must
which is not fair to him.
The one thing he must also respond to, I'm just giving it back to you, is why ODM purported to use, do you remember they used 2 tablets in a station in Taita Taveta? They purported to use electronic. What was that you were trying in your nomination system?
We were not
Did
trying,
you not
we were
believe? Did
we
you
were
not
using
believe in that electronic system?
We had a printed register.
How did you hold back even the passwords on those
We had a
tablets
printed register,
until they could
Veronica.
not come
Veronica,
to
you know you guys don't know how technology works.
So I'm asking this question so that he can think a little deeper as he brings forth.
So
now you have your question.
Veronica, we had the electronic devices, but we also had the printed registers. And the printed registers for our party, which obviously is a much more mature party than yours. It's been there for much longer, and of course, that is a fact if you want facts. So your juvenile party cannot boast to even be able to run a nomination like the one that we ran. We saw what you did with your mock exercise that you call nominations.
Kanchori.
Yes.
I hope you're not serious about
I'm
these
serious about.
ambitions because you know for a fact ODM will not
we are
even
digressing.
do 10% of nomination across
We are
the whole
digressing
country.
because of you.
They did not.
We
carried out
because
nominations across the 47 counties.
Yes.
ODM did a few spotted, including the 2 tablets they had in Taita Taveta. So I would not even accept to discuss the question of nominations with my colleague.
You're making
it would have to be somebody else.
Okay, so let's go back to the IBC.
Yes.
So the issue that Veronica is raising, and she's going to the defense of IBC. Moses Kuria is not an IBC.
Not quite. I only raised in the context of
you see,
when they are stealing elections.
Yes. You will have an opportunity.
And I said I can't argue with the lady. It would be very rude for me.
Proceed.
And so if Veronica wants to take the whole time, I'll let her do that. Very, very happily. Actually, I'll even applaud.
The time is yours. The time is yours.
So the thing is this.
Yeah.
We have had elections in this country, several election after election. From 2007, we had the very unfortunate events that caused this country to come to the brink. In 2013, it was another, whatever happened, we know what happened. In 2017, the highest court actually confirmed that the process was, left a lot to be desired. And so it is not an allegation by ODM to say that IBC has failed in the past. IBC is on record to have failed numerously and variously in the electoral process. What we are saying is, let us have mechanisms within the process of elections that will safeguard the process. We just want safeguards. We are not saying, don't bring these electronic devices. Bring them by all means. But let them be used, but let there be a safety net. Because technology is just what it is. It is technology. It is human. It's a human, thing. It's something that is invented by human hands. It can fail, and that is why they pray even for cars. When you get into a car, they say, it is made by human hands. So when it fails, let there be a mechanism that will enable you to vote. Let there be a mechanism that will enable the process to go seamlessly, because elections are not just a product, they are a process. So therefore, we don't want to see on election day, and by the way, I'll tell you, if you ask me again, why my colleagues' side do not mind, this, are insisting on the electronic process, is because if the process is bungled, because they know they're losing this election, they don't mind losing badly. They don't mind losing and having grievances. They can go to court and say, why didn't you use the electronic register? The law says you must use an electronic register. They have grounds to go to the Court of Appeal and annul our well-won victory. Okay. We don't want to give them that, and we will not give them that.
Let me ask you again before I go to Veronica. So what is the fear in this? What is the fear that what will they do if the manual register is missing? What is the fear? Just explain to me that very briefly. Then I go to Veronica.
If the manual register is missing,
Yeah.
you will have a situation where people come, they are putting their biometrics, nothing is happening, the queues are piling up, people are getting frustrated, they are trying to put their IDs, the process is slow, the kits are dying because they are also powered by batteries. You know, something is not happening with the electronic register according to plan. The people who are queuing are getting frustrated. They are raising their hands. They are saying what is going on. They don't have time. They don't have all day to sit and wait for people to change batteries and for people to say, to call Nairobi and say the kits are not working. We just want a system where, you know, and these people will go back home. They will not vote. And when you are losing an election, you don't want people to vote. When you're winning, you want people to vote.
So that is the fear, that
Yes.
you want everyone to vote.
Yes.
That's what,
You know,
Veronica.
You know, let me say this
Yes.
about my colleague saying that we are losing this election. You know, you can repeat a lie to yourself until you believe it. We have watched our opponents cooking opinion polls, doctoring, influencing, making them appear as though they are very close to a presidential candidate until they have completed to believe that lie, that they're actually winning